I arrived back from a work trip to discover the locks on my home had been replaced. From my very own sofa, she messaged me announcing, "I've found someone superior." I paused, drew in a steady breath, smiled, and asked quietly, "Are you absolutely sure?" Then I walked away. 4 days went by, and suddenly, she was on the phone, screaming at me. As I step off the plane at Portland International Airport, the weight of the week's exhaustion settles into my bones. San Francisco was a whirlwind of meetings, presentations, and too many late-night coding sessions. My mind is a fog of numbers, algorithms, and the faces of clients I've just met. All I crave is the sanctuary of my own bed, the familiar smell of my apartment, and perhaps Emily's welcoming embrace. I weave through the crowd, my suitcase trailing behind like a reluctant companion, each wheel turn echoing the fatigue in my steps. The city's cool evening air is a stark contrast to the stifling conference rooms I've left behind. I hail a cab, and as we drive through the city, the lights of Portland blur into a comforting glow, signaling home. The cab pulls up to my building, and I pay the driver, my movements mechanical, driven by the promise of rest. I climb the stairs to my apartment, each step heavier than the last. My key is already in my hand, a small piece of metal that's supposed to unlock my world. But as I insert it into the lock, something's off. It doesn't fit. I try again, thinking perhaps fatigue has dulled my coordination, but no, the key refuses to turn. Confusion clouds my mind as I knock on the door, expecting Emily's voice, her laughter, or even her irritation at my unexpected return. But there's only silence. I pull out my phone, the screen lighting up with a message from Emily. My heart skips a beat as I read, "I've found someone superior." The words hit like a physical blow, my breath catching in my throat. Superior? The term echoes in my mind, a hollow, mocking sound. I manage a weak smile, my fingers trembling as I type back, "Are you absolutely sure?" I step back from the door, the key still in my hand, now a symbol of rejection rather than entry. What could possibly make her think she's found someone better than me? Was it my long hours, my focus on work over us? Or perhaps something more intimate, something she found lacking in our relationship? I turn away from the apartment, my home, now a stranger's sanctuary. The streetlights cast long shadows, and I walk into the night, the city's pulse a stark contrast to the stillness in my chest. My mind races, replaying our last moments together, searching for signs I might have missed. Was it the way she looked at me, or didn't look at me? The subtle withdrawal, the excuses for not spending time together? The thought gnaws at me, a persistent whisper in the back of my mind. Did she find someone who could give her what I couldn't? Someone who wasn't always chasing the next project, the next deadline? Or was it something more personal? I shake my head, trying to dispel the images that threaten to surface, images of her with another, in our bed, in our space. I walk faster. As if I could outpace the thoughts racing through my mind, I find myself at a local diner, the neon sign buzzing softly above me, casting a warm glow on the cracked vinyl of the booth. The coffee in front of me is black, like my mood, and I stir it absent-mindedly, watching the steam rise and dissipate into the cool air. Emily's words echo in my mind. I've found someone superior. Superior. The word feels like a slap, a dismissal of everything we had, everything I thought we were building together. My phone buzzes again, breaking through my thoughts. I glance at it, hoping for something from Emily, some explanation, some sign that this isn't the end. But it's just work emails, reminders of deadlines and meetings, the mundane rhythm of my life that now feels so distant. I silence the phone, deciding to ignore the world for a moment longer. I need a place to stay, somewhere to regroup and figure out my next move. Mark comes to mind, my friend who lives just a few blocks away. He's always been there for me through thick and thin. I text him, "Hey, can I crash at your place for a bit?" His reply is immediate. "Of course, man. Come over." Mark's apartment is a stark contrast to the sterile environment of the diner. It's filled with the chaos of creativity, sketchbooks, design tools, and the glow of multiple computer screens. He greets me with a bear hug, his enthusiasm a balm to my frayed nerves. "What's up, Alex? You look like you've seen a ghost." Over pizza and beer, I recount the day's events, the key that wouldn't turn, the message from Emily. Mark listens, his expression shifting from concern to anger on my behalf. "That's cold, man. Really cold," he says, shaking his head. His advice is practical. You need to sort out your living situation, get your stuff back. The next day, I start the process, feeling like a stranger in my own life. I call a locksmith, but they can't help without proof of ownership or Emily's consent. It's like I've been erased from my own existence. I sit on Mark's couch, staring at my phone, contemplating my next move. The apartment, our apartment, feels like a distant memory, a place where I once belonged. Now, it's a locked box, holding all my possessions, my life, behind a door I can't open. The thought of Emily, perhaps, with someone else in our bed, sends a shiver down my spine. I try to shake the image, focusing instead on the practicalities. I need to talk to Emily, to understand, to maybe salvage something from the wreckage of our relationship. But the thought of confronting her, of seeing her face, knowing she's moved on, it's paralyzing. Mark notices my hesitation. "You need to face this, Alex. It's the only way to move forward." The question lingers in the air, heavy with uncertainty. Will I ever get back to feeling normal? 4 days pass in a blur of work and temporary living arrangements. I've been staying at Mark's, but the situation feels temporary and unsettling. The couch is comfortable enough, but it's not home. Every morning, I wake up with the same hollow feeling, the same questions swirling in my mind. What went wrong? How could Emily do this? Then, out of the blue, my phone rings. It's Emily, her voice shrill and frantic. "Alex, you need to come back now, it's urgent," she screams. I'm puzzled and worried, but I agree to meet her at the apartment. When I arrive, the door is ajar. A sense of dread washes over me as I push it open. Inside, the place is a mess, not from a break-in, but from what looks like a hurried departure. Clothes are strewn about, drawers left open, and the air is thick with the scent of something burnt. Emily is there, her eyes red from crying, and beside her, a man I've never seen before, looking equally distressed. His hair is disheveled, his shirt untucked, and there's a palpable tension in the room. Emily rushes towards me, her voice breaking as she explains, "Alex, I'm so sorry. I made a terrible mistake." She tells me about the man she left me for, the one she thought was superior. He turned out to be a con artist who had not only stolen her heart, but also her savings and valuables from our apartment. The man beside her, his name is David, and he's a private investigator she hired to track down the con artist after realizing the truth. I look around, the reality of the situation sinking in. My home, our home, has been violated. "He took everything," Emily continues, her voice a mix of anger and despair. "He promised me the world, and instead he left me with nothing but this mess." David steps forward, his expression grave. "I've been following his trail, but he's slippery. He's done this before, to others. We need to act fast if we want to catch him." I feel a surge of anger, not just at the con artist, but at Emily for bringing this chaos into our lives. Yet seeing her so broken, I can't help but feel a pang of sympathy. "What do you need from me?" I ask, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "We need to go through everything," David says. "See if there's anything he might have left behind that could help us. Any notes, receipts, anything at all." We start sorting through the chaos, Emily occasionally breaking down, her sobs echoing in the now empty apartment. I find myself picking up the pieces of our life together, literally and metaphorically. There's a part of me that wants to walk away, to leave this behind, but another part, the part that still cares for Emily, can't abandon her now. As we sift through the remnants of our shared life, I find a small black notebook hidden under a pile of clothes. It's filled with names, numbers, and cryptic notes. I show it to David, who nods, his eyes lighting up with a hint of hope. "This could be what we need," he says, flipping through the pages. The day turns into night, and we're still at it. Emily has calmed down, her focus now on the task at hand. We ordered takeout, eating in silence, the weight of the situation hanging over us. I can't help but think about what comes next. My home has been violated, my relationship shattered, and now I'm entangled in a hunt for a con artist. As I sit there, surrounded by the remnants of our life together, I realize that despite everything, I'm not ready to let go. Not of Emily, not of the apartment, not of the life we were building. But first, we need to catch this man who's turned our world upside down. The question lingers, heavy with uncertainty. What will Alex do now that his home has been violated and his girlfriend betrayed? The revelation hits me like a tidal wave. Emily is sobbing, her tears soaking into the fabric of her shirt, her voice breaking as she apologizes over and over. "I'm so sorry, Alex. I was so wrong. Please, please forgive me," she pleads, her eyes red and swollen. Jake, the man she left me for, stands there, his face a mask of guilt and desperation. He tries to explain, his words stumbling out. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. I thought I was in love." But his excuses sound hollow, like the echo of a lie in an empty room. I feel a storm of emotions brewing inside me. Anger at the betrayal, a sense of betrayal that cuts deep, but also, surprisingly, a flicker of sympathy for Emily. She looks so broken, so unlike the confident woman I fell in love with. The police arrive, their presence a stark reminder of the reality we're now facing. They take statements, their questions methodical and detached. Jake is led away, his hands cuffed, his future uncertain. The damage, however, lingers in the air, palpable and heavy. In the midst of the chaos, I notice something odd. A small, black device, no larger than a matchbox, is tucked behind a vase on the living room shelf. My heart sinks as I realize what it is: a hidden camera. The invasion of our privacy wasn't just recent. It had been ongoing, perhaps even before I was locked out of our home. Emily and I sit down amidst the mess, the remnants of our life scattered around us like debris after a storm. She's remorseful, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't know, Alex. I swear, I didn't know about the camera." I want to believe her, but trust feels like a distant memory, something fragile that's been shattered. "How could you not know, Emily? How could you let someone like him into our lives?" My voice is calm, but inside, I'm anything but. She looks down, her fingers nervously twisting a strand of her hair. "I was blind, Alex. He was charming. He said all the right things. I thought he was better." Her voice cracks on the last word, the same word that had haunted me since her message. The question hangs between us, heavy and unanswered. Can we move past this? Can we rebuild from the ashes of betrayal? I look at her, really look at her, and see not just the woman who betrayed me, but also the one I loved, the one who made mistakes, who's now paying a steep price for them. "We need to talk," I say, my voice firm yet not unkind. "About us, about this mess, about everything." She nods, her eyes meeting mine with a mix of hope and fear. "I want to fix this, Alex, if you'll let me." The room feels smaller, the walls closing in with the weight of our past and the uncertainty of our future. I take a deep breath, the scent of burnt coffee still lingering, a reminder of the chaos that unfolded here. "I need time, Emily. Time to think, to process," I tell her, my mind racing with the implications of everything that's happened. "And we need to figure out how to deal with Jake, legally, emotionally, everything." She nods again, her expression one of resigned acceptance. "I understand. I'll do whatever it takes, Alex. I just want us to be okay again." As I stand up, the room feels different, not just because of the physical disarray, but because of the emotional upheaval. I glance at the hidden camera one last time, a symbol of how deeply our lives had been invaded. "We'll get through this," I say, more to myself than to her, a promise, or perhaps a hope. But it won't be easy. The door closes behind me as I step out into the cool night air, leaving Emily in the apartment that was once our shared sanctuary. Now, it's just a place filled with memories, some sweet, some bitter, and all tinged with the sting of betrayal. I walk away into the night, contemplating the future. The police investigation into Jake's background has revealed a disturbing pattern of similar scams. Emily's savings are gone, vanished into thin air, and with them, our sense of security. The apartment, once a place of comfort, now feels like a crime scene. I decide to help Emily recover, not because my heart is still with her, but because justice demands it, and perhaps there's a sliver of affection that lingers. We start by cleaning up the apartment, removing all traces of Jake. It's therapeutic. In a way, each piece of trash, each item out of place, feels like a step towards reclaiming our space. But as we lift the mattress, something catches my eye. A letter, hidden away, its edges worn as if it had been read many times. Emily sees it too, her breath hitching. She unfolds the paper, her hands trembling. It's a love letter from Jake, filled with promises and sweet nothings. But now, in the harsh light of reality, it's clear it was all part of his manipulation. Emily reads it, her face contorting in pain, realization dawning. She looks at me, her eyes brimming with tears. "I'm so sorry, Alex, I was so blind." I watch her, the woman I once thought I'd spend my life with, now a shadow of her former self. "It's not just about forgiveness, Emily," I say, my voice steady. "I can forgive, but I can't forget. We need to move forward, but our relationship can't go back to what it was." She nods, understanding the gravity of my words. We continue cleaning, but the air between us is thick with unspoken words, with the weight of what was lost and what might never be regained. As we work, I find myself thinking about the future, about what moving on really means. Can I truly let go of this ordeal? Or will the scars remain, etched into my memory, into my heart? The apartment slowly starts to look like our home again, but it's different now. It's not just the physical space that's been altered. It's the trust, the innocence, the belief in love that's been shattered. Emily and I were like two survivors of a shipwreck, trying to rebuild on the remnants of what was once our life together. We sit down, exhausted, amidst the cleaned-up chaos. "What do we do now?" Emily asks, her voice small, like a child lost in a crowd. "We start over," I reply, not just to her, but to myself. "We rebuild, not just this place, but ourselves. You need to get back on your feet and I'll help you, but we do it as friends, as allies in this mess." She nods, a tear escaping down her cheek. "Thank you, Alex, for not leaving me to deal with this alone." I look around, at the space that once held our dreams, now just a room with 4 walls. "We'll get through this," I say, more to convince myself than her. "But it's going to take time and it's going to be hard." The question lingers, not just in the air but in my mind. Can Alex truly move on from this ordeal, or will the scars remain? As I help Emily up, guiding her to the door, I realize that moving on isn't just about leaving the past behind. It's about carrying the lessons, the pain, and the growth into a new chapter, one where the pages are yet unwritten, where the story could still turn out to be something beautiful, or at least something bearable. With the apartment now cleaned, and Jake behind bars, Emily and I sit down for one last conversation. The air is thick with the remnants of our past, but there's a clarity in our eyes, a mutual understanding that things can't go back to how they were. We agree to part ways, but not as enemies. There's a respect for what we once shared, a recognition of the journey we've been through together. "I'll help you find a new place," I offer, my voice steady, trying to mask the whirlwind of emotions inside. Emily nods, her eyes reflecting a mixture of gratitude and sorrow. We spend the next few days sorting through our belongings, deciding what to keep, what to give away, and what to split. It's a process filled with silent agreements and the occasional cautious laugh over a shared memory. The locks are changed, again, this time with both our consent. It's symbolic, this act. It's not just about security. It's about giving each other a new beginning, a fresh start. As I hand her the new set of keys, there's a finality to the gesture, a closing of a chapter. Moving. Into my new apartment, it's smaller, but it's mine alone. The walls are bare, the rooms echo with emptiness, but there's a sense of freedom in the solitude. The experience has changed me. I'm more cautious now, more aware of the complexities of life, of people. I've learned that trust, once broken, is hard to mend, but not impossible. Emily and I meet occasionally for coffee. Our conversations are filled with cautious laughter, reminiscing about the good times, but the intimacy that once defined us is gone. We're like two old friends who've been through a storm together, now sharing stories from a safe distance. As I settle into my new life, I reflect on the ordeal. It wasn't just about losing a home or a partner. It was about losing and then regaining my sense of self. The betrayal, the invasion of privacy, the chaos Jake brought into our lives, it all stripped away layers of who I thought I was. But in that stripping, there was growth, a painful but necessary shedding of naivety. I sit in my new living room, the city lights casting shadows through the window, and I think about what the future holds for me now that I'm truly on my own. There's a sense of liberation, of endless possibilities. I've learned to value my own company, to find joy in the quiet moments, in the freedom to make choices without compromise. The future, it's uncertain, but that's part of its allure. I've learned that life isn't about avoiding the storms, but learning to navigate through them. I've lost much, but I've also gained a deeper understanding of myself, a resilience I didn't know I had, and a cautious optimism about what lies ahead. As I look around my new space, I realize it's not just about the physical place. It's about the space within me, the room I've made for new experiences, for growth, for love perhaps, but on my terms, with eyes wide open. The question of what comes next is no longer daunting. It's exciting. What will Alex do now? I smile to myself, knowing that whatever it is, I'll face it with a strength forged in the fires of adversity. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.